This is Master of Science presentation on Ancient Literature Review. My name is Vandana Ranjalkar, student number 40718124. The 20th shloka of Bhaja Govindam by Adi Shankaracharya mentions Bhagwad Gita Kinchitadita Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita Sukradapi Yena Murari Samarcha Kriyate Tasya Yamena Charcha. That is, the path of liberation is the three ways: reading the Bhagavad Gita, drinking the water of Ganga, and offering worship to Krishna. The first is learning Bhagavad Gita a little, which refers to the path of knowledge, Jnana Yoga. One has to not only read and memorize the verses of the Gita, but also understand the meaning by contemplating on it and applying the essence of it in day-to-day life. The second way is drinking just a drop of the Ganga water, which symbolizes the path of devotion, that is Bhakti Yoga, where one will become aware of the divinity around and develops a sense of gratitude. The third practice is worship to the Murari, that is Lord Krishna, which symbolizes Karma Yoga. Murari literally means the destroyer of Mura, that is ego. The way to destroy the ego is by acting in the spirit of sacrifice, without craving for the fruit of action. The emphasis on little means even a little effort gives immediate benefits. The focus should be on internal transformation and not on external changes. And so for Ancient Literature Review, I conducted research on many Indian classics that deals with the parameters of my study. I arrived at three main sources. Of these, we will be focusing on the first two as they delve directly with the parameters of self-esteem and quality of life. The three sources are Sushruta Samhita, Bhagavad Gita, and Patanjali Yoga Sutra. With respect to the first source, Sushruta Samhita, one can observe how delicately it deals with the subject of menstruation. It defines it with no stigmas, merely as a matter of fact. Additionally, it builds on the study of menopause in the fields under Ayurveda. It goes into categorize the different types of menstruation based on the age of onset, and each respective category has its own set of varying symptoms. All these factors shows that research on menopause with our ancient literature follows a solid and scientific method of inquiry. तद्वर्षात् द्वादशात् काले वर्तमानं सृक पुनः जरापक्वशरीराणां याति पंचाशतः क्षयम्. Here the author writes, menarche begins at the age of 12 with the natural progression of age, results in menopause at around 50 years. According to the author, the symptoms of a naturally occurring disease such as aging occurs at the wrong periods in the life of an individual when there is an absence of protective measures of healthcare practice. The Ayurvedic classics dictates 50 years as the probable age of menstruation. They postulate that during this time, the governing energy of Vata dosha is prone to blockages and imbalance. This can have an impact on the anatomy as well as physiology of the female body, in addition to the natural symptoms of age. For the self-esteem, our first parameter of study, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 73 mentions, Nashto moha smritir labdva tattva prasadan mayachyuta stitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Our second source gives an indirect yet bold insight into the nature of self. It also is a point in the Gita that reaffirms its core teachings. In these sections, it is only verse that directly addresses the self-esteem, however, which concludes the dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna that speaks in length on the subject. The shloka highlights that the purpose of self-esteem is to give oneself enough courage to face the doubts and disillusionments of reality. For quality of life and its 5 variables, the Bhagavad Gita notes down a very specific set of qualities: control of senses, performance of sacrifice, study of the sacred books, austerity, etc. These work towards creating harmony in one's lifestyle. It states, Abhayam sattva samshuddhir jnana yoga vyavastitihi danam damascha yajnascha swadhyayas tapa arjavam. ahimsa satyam krodhatyagah kshantirapeshunam dayabhuteshvaloluktvam mardavam veerachapalam tejak kshama dhritir shaucham adroho nati manita bhavanti sampadam daivim abhijatasya bharata. Here, the author advises that following a path with the above qualities will lead to the least inner conflict. It will create a life of balance and higher meaning. Quite differently to WHO's rubrics, this verse mentions a whole host of values as responsible for impacting our quality of life and not just five. However, one drawback of this source is that most of its variables are psychological. They focus on culturing inner peace, and hence they also advise against acting differently on external factors like social status and financial background. Psychology. Psychology is one of the five variables under quality of life. I have included it here as in my experiments this variable showed the most drastic increase. It proves that Bhagavad Gita has a profound impact on the psychology of its practitioner. It says the following verse on the topic. Manah prasada saumyatvam maunamatma vinigraha bhava samshuddhi rityetah tapo mana samuchyate. This verse is one of the first detailed and defined accounts of ancient India's perception of a sound mind. Being one of the parameters within WHO's quality of life, it becomes vital to understand it deeply from an indigenous perspective. Here, the author notes that the faculties of the mind need to be working harmoniously for mental peace to be achieved. Environment. Environment is another variable within quality of life. I have included it here as in my experiment. This variable showed the second most drastic increase. It proves that Bhagavad Gita also has a profound impact on perceived environment of its practitioners. It says the following verse on the topic. Samashatrau cha mitre cha tatha manapamanayoho शीतोष्ण सुख दुखेषु समसंग विवर्जितः तुल्यनिंदा स्तुतिर्मौनी संतुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेत स्थिरमतिः भक्तिमान में प्रियो नरः. The above shloka states ways of being and interacting with the environment with rational and compassion. It places self-reflection and awareness at the core of its teaching. In conclusion, it can be observed that the foundation for study into psychology and physical health is well documented and defined in ancient Indian literature. The definitions and relevance of these studies are accurately proven even now. This refers to their timeless wisdom. They give a unique indigenous perspective to ethics and practices. These can be incorporated into modern life by women to ease premenopausal symptom severity. They prompt further studies into the impact of Sanskrit on cognitive and behavioral abilities. Finally, they are sources for personal development. I received overwhelming positive feedback from my experiment group at the end of my Gita chanting classes. I had 53 participants. I could first hand see that not only did ancient literature review form the basis for my research, it also helped my participants improve their quality of life and their sense of self-worth in the process. Namaste.